Hello, we're here with James and we're talking cyber-physical convergence and the latest on Corona and working remotely. James, nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Sorry, we're not talking on, in better times, although for some adversaries, these might be amazing times. Sometimes you've very kindly spoken during a lot of our events, both on the physical and on the digital side, about convergence, about the nature of the two apparently different security functions. And one thing that we wanted to ask you about is what's the landscape now? How prepared are businesses for adversaries that don't actually care about the distinction between the physical and the digital?
There's a huge variety. Some businesses are set up for almost complete remote working anyway, and they're in a much better place. Others rely a lot on a corporate boundary, even now, to protect their users. And the problem they'll be coming across is that users are now outside that boundary. And on top of that, if they're VPNing in, normally VPN setups are only for a portion of employees. They're going to be overloaded. They're going to be bypassed because there'll be blockers to productivity. People are going to find workarounds and people are not going to be protected. On top of that, there's an awful lot of FUD around about coronavirus. I've seen today 3 different scams purporting to be from different governments or health agencies saying, please click here to claim your allowance, click here for the latest guidance, download this to, I have actually seen one saying, download this to test if you've got coronavirus.
Oh, no.
So they're exploiting it as they always do, but people are no longer necessarily protected in the same way that they would be in an office from the security threat side of things. And on top of that, a lot of offices are sitting empty or will be emptying out, which again opens up holes in security.
So do you think there's any existing technology or processes that people simply need to stick to and it will all be all right? I know in past conversations you've sort of bemoaned the separation of security functions. Do you think we're literally going to get really hot IT security, but nobody manning the door? What can people do right now?
So making sure the office is locked and monitored is probably a good one if you are leaving your office open. Clear desk policies have been around for a long time. If people had followed them, there wouldn't be so many vulnerabilities. And shutting down systems in the office if they're not being used. The problem is if you're relying on that to provide all of your productivity tools and systems, people still need to access them, even if remotely, so they do need to be running. If someone gets into that office, they've got physical access, and the old rule is if someone's got physical access to a computer, they own it.
Yeah, no, I've seen some fantastic demonstrations of completely locked computers being attacked by just a USB exploit.
Yeah.
Of course, there's much more advanced things out there, and we're about to see them. So, in the coming weeks and months, obviously, it's a bit unclear the extent to which we're going to allow businesses to be closed. I sense we're not going to have a great appetite for that in the long term. What should people employ? What kind of tactics or perhaps technology could they use? I've got a sneaking suspicion some of the webinar platforms are going to crash in just a day or two, maybe even this one. What should people invest in, even though we don't know quite how long this is going to last?
Well, I have noticed a few WebEx sessions today have had various issues, just audio cutting out, unable to get in. They've been up and down a bit. I know Microsoft Teams had similar issues. So far, Zoom seems to be okay and Slack seems to be okay. It'll be interesting to see how long that lasts and which others are affected. So video conferencing will be a big piece. And one important bit there is to make sure it's video or audio conferencing for security purposes, because anyone could be on the other end of a simple message from an unknown user. So if it's someone saying, oh, I've just signed up to Zoom, I need to talk to you urgently, can you just drop me a chat message, or I've just signed up to Slack to work around our non-functional IT systems, please jump on and chat to me. Make sure you can verify their identity through some method other than just trusting them on the platform. Video and audio, that's not such an issue, although there have been obviously deepfake attacks. In terms of technology, some companies will be doing much better than others, again, simply because they've been set up for distributed or remote working from the beginning. So they're not dependent on on-premise infrastructure in the same way, and they're therefore not dependent on those same physical controls and boundary controls that a corporate office usually has. A lot of the cloud platforms provide reasonably good security built in. Some of them have various upgrades you can buy that will give you a complete solution pretty much out of the door, so you can set it up in a day rather than running around buying pieces from different vendors, and have something functional out of the box. So they'll be doing extremely well out of this, and they are definitely worth exploiting to the maximum amount that you can if you're paying for those services, or if you're looking for alternatives to your incredibly expensive on-premise firewall devices.
Okay, very good advice. Hopefully we don't have to rely on them that long. I know there's a lot of people who are jumping for joy at the fact that they can finally work from home, but there's another category of people who are not jumping for joy. I guess it depends on your experience and your appetite for remote working. It could change the way we work, in which case physical security and your own home access, I guess, has to be considered. But no, this has been great. Why don't you give our audience one word of reassurance? Let's think of something positive amongst all of this bad news. What's your positive note to end on?
There's a lot of inefficiency in people going to an office every day when they don't need to. This is going to expose that. There's also, I mean, one really good note from a security point of view is this is the ultimate stress test of our instant response and business continuity. This isn't an exercise you could tabletop. It really is time to look at where things are falling down and sort them out, because there is now no argument that you will get from board or anyone else saying, oh, well, maybe we can put it off.
That's brilliant. I love it. Money couldn't buy this sort of tabletop exercise. Well, James, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to welcoming you to a physical or digital event soon.
Talk to you soon.